23rd. January 23rd, we had technical difficulties. I lost my Google Hangout, but we weren't done with our discussion, especially on transgenders. Right now we have this video on private for just us, but it was turning out to be such a great conversation about some of the national issues we didn't get to touch on tonight. So we were talking about the military transgender ban.
Yes, and like I said, I'm not a fan of Trump. I don't like his, and let me be clear, I don't know Trump as a man. When I say I'm not a fan of, I'm talking about strictly his political policies and his political standards. I don't know him to say if I like him as a person. I just need to be clear on that. And I don't vote for a lot of things that he votes for because he's just a little bit too much. But the transgender thing, I feel like he's head on. I need to make sure that somebody that is defending my country, defending my rights, has an understanding of which set they're claiming. You cannot be confused on the front line or we lose. You can't be indecisive or we lose.
But we don't even take people who have asthma into the military on active duty because you're not combat ready, because there's certain medications you cannot take when you're put out on, when you're placed on duty. So let alone hormone therapy. I mean, that becomes a danger to the transgender. Think about the kids that are on medications and you have to wean them onto these medications and they can't suddenly stop, or they could have a psychotic episode. It's no different with the hormones. It's no different than that. And they also need to have their mental health coaches. And those hormones, they have to stay on for life. So you're basically signing up for a military you can't serve battle ready for.
Well, what if Caitlyn Jenner is out there on the front line? She has an episode and she realizes that she doesn't want to be out there anymore. She wants to be somewhere else. Then what? Then she puts her comrades, lives in danger.
Everyone.
Come on, just call it what it is. It's just bullshit. That's what it is.
You're right. What barracks do you sleep in? The gender you identify with? I mean,
you have to build a whole new barrack now?
The other soldiers, and at what point now? I'm waiting for the lawsuit to happen for a sexual assault. Now that we're putting all the genders together, regardless of what you identify with.
But what if she wants to sleep in the man's barracks one night because she's confused and her penis is telling her otherwise?
Well, why not? Mary Beth wants to sleep in the men's barracks.
On the bed.
She's slept with so many men in this town, I can't even keep track.
We definitely can't show this show.
No. Mary Beth Taylor. She's another girl I know.
I died. I'm alive again, though. I'm alive. I can't.
No, but I mean, that whole transgender thing that was going on with the transgender lockers and bathrooms that we were talking about earlier, and it's so much more. When you said it, you were saying it so beautifully, which is why I wanted to come back on. We have children who have special needs, and they're given special classrooms for their special needs. We are accommodating the individuals. It's an individual education plan. It's the same thing. We're not saying that, oh, transgender's bad, hide. No, absolutely. Be exactly who you want to be. Love who you want to love. Be exactly who you are. But accommodations need to be made for you as an individual. The entire school body shouldn't have to change to accommodate the needs of a very few.
No, absolutely not.
No, and when it comes to, I'm not saying that they can't be in the same classroom. I'm not saying that they can't, engage with each other, but they don't have to be in the same bathroom.
You're not stripping down in the same locker room as someone with a different gender, especially
it becomes very different. And at what point are our little boys going to be accused of sexual assault because they're being placed in that position? Are we going to now have to put cameras in all the locker rooms? I mean, how far are we going to have to take it?
And then who's watching the cameras? Because we've had people be arrested for child pornography.
Right.
I'm not comfortable with that.
I mean, we're
not comfortable with that at all. So at what point do we draw the line? Give them a separate bathroom, because I don't think my child or anyone else's child should feel uncomfortable.
Right.
If they don't identify, give them a bathroom that says unidentified.
Right.
Or transgender neutral.
Or just gender neutral. It's a gender neutral. Why should they be treated any differently than you would when you're accommodating any other student? They shouldn't be, of course we should be inclusive, but you're making it exclusive, and it's backwards. And I'm sorry, the state should pay for this because they're the ones. This law was originally, it wasn't a law, it was an executive order that was made by Obama. And when Trump got into office, he reversed it. New York State grabbed it and readopted it, and it went into law in February 2018. But now everything's remember how we talked about how laws go in, but then they don't really take effect until a later time?
Yeah.
So that's why it's something that's being brought up now as a topic.
It's just unfortunate. The whole thing is something. And another point I wanted to touch on, we really need to stop with calling people racist or, insensitive. If we're talking about transgender, I may not agree with the policy or procedure. I'm not singling out one person. I'm not saying transgenders are bad, transgenders are good. I don't know. I don't care.
Well, these kids have been picked on and bullied. Are you kidding? They deserve to have their own space where they're not put in general population, and kids aren't also leering at them and thinking that they're strange. That's unfair to them also.
And not for nothing, I don't think that it's appropriate, my opinion only, my 7-year-old to be looking over at his or her, if they're in the bathroom, his or her friend, whatever they are identifying with, and you're saying you're a boy, but you have a vagina. He's going to want to look and see why you have a vagina. I'm sorry. He's very curious.
And why are these conversations being forced into my house?
Exactly. Because we have to have it. We have to. And that was another thing that I had a problem with when it came to the whole situation with the gangs. In 6th grade, you have these talks, sexual talks with our students that are in 6th grade. But you don't want to talk to them about gangs, but you want to talk to them about having sex and accepting different types of sexuality, but you don't want to talk about gangs. We're so mixed up in where we should be and what's politically correct that it's damaging our kids. I don't know why my 7-year-old can tell me about a transgender and how the operation takes place. I don't understand that because I didn't know that.
I don't want to hear a young girl come home and tell her parents Susie is gender fluid and today he's Sal.
And today he yelled at me because I used his wrong name. That's happened.
Ridiculous.
And because now you're confusing my daughter and making her crazy because you're asking her to accommodate you. I have no problem how people choose to live their lives, but now it's
shoving it down our face and making us like we're doing something wrong. We're not. If you want to live that lifestyle, have at it. That is absolutely fine. I will still be your friend. I will still go out for coffee. I'll still walk side by side with you down the street. But stop shoving your shit down my throat and our kids. It's not right.
Right. And if I don't agree with that, then I am by default fill in the blank a bigot usually because it's just insane. It's like the tolerant people have become so completely intolerant. They claim to be inclusive of all, but they're really not. They're judgmental if you disagree with any fraction of what they agree with.
And God forbid they wear a red hat. Holy.
Oh, that was insane this week. Oh, there's still people that believe that those kids rolled up on the Indian drummer guy who's also an actor. It's really weird.
But also, okay, that was something we should have touched on too, because the media and people have definitely taken that out of context for more than one reason. And I'm sorry, I will be very honest. When you pay to send your child to a private school, a boarding school, whatever the case may be, you're spending money. You expect them to behave in a certain way. So whether they were taunting that man or not, their behavior in front of everybody was inappropriate. And that's why the school is considering taking action. But what I found was wrong was that they focused on the boys taunting the man in the middle, which was wrong. because how it was portrayed and how it took that didn't sit well. They should have focused on those men who were taunting them.
But they went in with their cameras to the crowd on purpose. If you look at the one video, they all had their cameras. They wanted to make it look like that. They were like, oh, look, here's a bunch of kids we can exploit.
And that, to me, the things that they were saying, go shoot up a school.
How about the one young black man that was with all those boys with the MAGA hats, that they said they were going to harvest his organs?
And told him he had fleas or lice. Lice.
Yes, why don't you eradicate lice?
There was a radical group. I forget the name of the radical group that was there screaming. First of all, there was different groups of boys. It's not like they were all from the one. It's easy to say, oh, they were all with the same school. The young man who was standing down the guy with the drums, he was from the Christian school that you're talking about. There were different groups of incidences that happened because it was the March for Life. Those kids were there for the March of Life. Then there were people who came to instigate and, of course, get things on film and put them. And you also had the Women's March going on at the same time.
And the Native Americans were down there for their purpose, for their reason.
Right. Because my friend had posted, oh, I was down there for the Women's March, and that's not what I saw. And we were like, oh, well, maybe you should go back and review the many hours of video footage that there is, because that's actually what happened. And here's what's really sad to me. You can be a woman and put on your pink little pussy hat and go march, and nobody bothers you.
You like clap. Oh my God, you're so strong.
You're so brave. But if you put on a MAGA hat, they will attack you. And you guys saw it personally when it happened to me. And I didn't even go and aggravate the situation. Somebody went through my Facebook page to find that old profile photo of me wearing the MAGA hat, and it used it to exploit the entire Facebook page and started all that drama against me. Now, we don't do that to people who wear the pink hats. We may say, oh, you're a snowflake, ha, 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 or say, oh, you pink pussy hat. But we don't take it any further than that because we're adults.
I'm not going to beat a drum in your face. I'm not going to approach you. I'm not going to taunt you.
I'm not going to come after you because you have a right to express your opinion, just as I do. But for some reason, there's an extreme double standard there that they're not recognizing.
I know that I will get I'll get a lot of flack for this, but I really don't have any sympathy for people who wear that MAGA hat, and I don't have any sympathy for people who attack people who wear the MAGA hat, because the MAGA hat is controversial. So in my opinion, when you put it on, you know what you're doing. And for the people who attack the people who wear the MAGA hat, if it bothered you that much, then you would just simply walk away. You're adding to it by acknowledging the fact that you don't like it. If I see a MAGA hat on somebody, I don't get alarmed. I don't even look at it. It's a red hat. Great. I'm going about my business. I'm not giving you the satisfaction, and you don't get the reaction from me.
I think that people are pushing back because they're being abused, and that's why they're saying, I'm not going to take this hat off now. They're becoming more defiant because people are being abused for wearing it, and it's a violation of your rights of freedom of speech.
They shouldn't take it off. It's a hat.
Sorry.
It says "Make America Great Again." It's not hurting anyone.
Well, Alyssa Milano compared it to the new hood. All these white women, it's so stupid. They come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the new hood against the Klan." First of all these white women trying to explain people the Black experience, they need to step off.
And this is that again. I don't feel sorry for people like her either, because that's so way left. How can you equate a MAGA hat to people who have killed people for no reason?
I know.
That's crazy.
Lynching.
That's crazy.
Lynching.
You have not only lynching, they've done all types of things.
Hanging
babies out of live women who were alive and stomped the babies to death.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So they've done a lot of things. So to equate the two, but again, I don't give them the time of day, because who the fuck are you to make that? When you make statements like that, that lets me know where your mindset is. And we are not on the same level.
And let's face it, there's a lot of Black people who do wear the MAGA hat.
Yes, and that's why I say I don't feel sorry for those who wear it and they have confrontation, and I don't feel sorry for the people who have, because people like Kanye West, he said it. I wear it, I get a reaction. Well, don't get upset when the reaction you get is not what you want.
I actually
Now
wanted to
blacklisted.
conduct an experiment, and it was because the conversation we had on my wall. I want to go down on Main Street, put on the mag. It's going to be like a science experiment for Liam, and he can keep the data, right? Because we all like scientific data. Put on the MAGA hat and see what kind of reaction I get, right? For like a day, and then go another day, put on the pink pussy hat, and see what kind of reaction you get, and compare the two modules.
What is the pink pussy hat?
That's the one for the Women's March for women's rights. And you know what? They have yet to tell me what rights that they don't have that they're marching for. They have yet to tell me, especially in New York, because now you can abort you full-time for a full-term baby. There are no rights that you don't have, that everybody doesn't have.
I wish they would stop calling it aborting, because when you're 9 months pregnant, when you're 9 months, that's a child. You're killing.
Giving birth. You're giving birth.
You're killing
murder.
My son was born at 8. He was born a full month early, Blake. A full month. He came out fully developed. And that was at 8 months. Okay? So that would have been basically killing a child.
You're going to tell me if you got punched in the stomach that he wouldn't have felt the pain at that point?
I would feel the fucking pain. First of all, I'm not going through 9 months having these little fuckers in. Oh, I keep forgetting we're online. Having them inside my body, and I don't let them come out. Are you crazy? You put me through the 9 months. I'm gonna put you through some years of pain myself.
I know. How do you go that long? And they say, oh, it's extremely rare. If it's extremely rare, then why are we making it a blanket law? And why are we taking it out of the hospitals? And why are we allowing non-medical professionals to perform abortions?
Because most people think about it. I mean, we have to be realistic. Doctors and, certified doctors are not going to want to do those type of things. All right. My OBGYN, I have 2, because I had the one that delivered all 4, and then I had the one for Blake. Neither one of them would have performed an abortion at 9 months. So you're going to have to get somebody who's willing to do that.
Yeah, but then you start getting involved with people like Thomas Gosnell. He was the famous abortionist that they recently did that movie about, that we were all going to go see together, that just came out. That was a sick scenario. That man was keeping the fetuses in his office in jars. In fact, the only reason he got caught, and I believe it was a black woman, because he killed her during an abortion. And that's when I have to go back and review it, but if anybody wants to go look, the Thomas Gosnell story is just one of it tells the dirty tale behind abortion. It's so awful.
I think.
How do you live with yourself? Like, I had a miscarriage of twins when Liam was a year old, so 9 years ago, and it killed me. It just killed me. It killed me. So now here's this woman, and don't tell me they're not going to do it. They're going to take it as far as they can just to prove they can, because there's people out there like that.
Yes.
No, I just aborted my baby 40 weeks old. Look at me go. You know they're going to do that, but you can't tell. Are you that soulless?
Yes.
Are you that soulless?
Yes, I'm answering. Yes. You just said, that there's people that are going to do that.
They are, and they'll have a march about it, and they'll be applauded.
And I can't, I've had a miscarriage before. And it's so devastating that years down the line, you still haven't recovered from it.
Right.
You may have had other children and other great things have happened, but that little possibility that is taken from you lasts with you for forever. And even though the dad may sympathize or be sad, that lived inside of my body. That was me.
My God, and think about the vindictive women out there that will actually take that baby to full term just to kill that baby to get revenge on the baby daddy. Holy smoke, I didn't even think about that. And you know what I thought about today, which was interesting? Now that they've really cut off the pipeline for human trafficking, is this now going to turn into harvesting of organs, and that's why it needs to go to full term? Because there is a whole black market. I know it's a really dirty subject to even think about, but there is a huge money-making black market for organs and tissues. Right. When you think about it, a lot of the women and young men that are human trafficked across the United States, after they're done abusing their bodies and they kill them, they harvest the organs and they sell them in the black market. This is true. I'm not making it up.
That's very, first of all, that's very true. That's very true, because there's a black market where you can have like the liver. That's very true.
So who's to say that they're not now making this full term so that they can, because we know that Planned Parenthood was selling parts. I mean, we never really, so now you've got full term parts that can be used that can create a whole lot of money for a certain fraction of society.
Wow.
Think about that. It's awful.
That's disgusting. I don't have any words to say about that, because I just, that's something I can't fathom.
No, I can't
Like,
either.
why would you want to have a dead person? That's so gross.
Oh.
So fucking gross. I'm sorry. I just
I
can't
know.
get that together.
It's hard when you actually think about it. A lot of people do, I mean, they don't talk about it, especially in regards to immigration, all the laws that President Trump has made in regards to human trafficking, because it's really at a crisis level. And, you know, not only are they being sold for sex, but they're being sold for parts. They're being used to bring drugs in and out. But it's also happening to the very, very littlest of children. So you can't help but wonder if that's part of it.
If Trump wasn't so arrogant and so demeaning with his,
boorish and
with,
arrogant, yes.
if he didn't conduct himself in that manner, I don't think he would have such a pullback.
I don't think so. He wouldn't be able to push back from the media, because he actually is. He doesn't even have a party that fully supports him, that is willing to fight for him. He's the only fighter in his party. So I think that's why he does, because he has to punch through 92% negative coverage of himself that nobody even talks about his actual policies that are doing good for this country. They talk about what he tweeted about. They talk about who he fought with. They talk about speculation. My favorite thing this week was the whole reporting of, well, if this is true, this is an impeachable offense. If this is true, meanwhile, what do you mean if it's true? You're supposed to find out if it's true and then report it.
I think, you know, his reaction causes people to have that reaction. I think if he stopped trying to do the wow factor, or if he stopped trying to appear like he was bullying in people's eyes, I think he wouldn't meet such resistance. Because when you really sit down and you go through some of his policies that he has in regards to immigration, it isn't that bad. It is his approach and the way he handles things. And everybody wanted this, you know, not a typical politician, but you have to understand, when you don't get that, this is what you get.
You know what, though, the same thing could be said about us. I can't control the perception about people, about June and Xavier, and they think we're going after them personally when we're going after them for needing to be exposed as a fraud. But what are they saying? We're the bullies.
I don't know. I mean, I disagree with that. Again, especially, I'm only speaking just on the immigration, because I've definitely taken the time out to read some of his things, read where he's coming from. And as a person in general, I'm not against it. I'm not going to say I'm standing there saying build a wall. I'm not saying that.
No, you like his policies, you dislike his personality.
And I dislike the way he goes about handling it.
Correct.
You have to have a level of diplomacy, especially being the commander in chief of the free world. I think if he just toned it back a little bit, people would be more receptive. I definitely would. And I know there's a lot of people who the first thing they talk about is how he behaves.
Correct.
For me,
but I think our system is so far gone, it needed a wrecking ball.
But he's not. But he's being a wrecking ball, but we're stagnated. So you created the wrecking ball, you got the wow factor, but that's why we have a government shutdown. That's exactly why you're not getting your point across.
About the government shutdown, though, it's non-essential employees. At this point, after 30 days under the Constitution, if there's a government shutdown, the president is allowed to start RFIs, which is a reduction in force. He's allowed to start firing the people who've been furloughed to be able to help with what's going on with the situation. Now, that accommodation was made on purpose in the Constitution because we're operating at a point where you have that many non-essential employees. Government's way too big. There's nothing wrong with shrinking it at this point. This is an opportunity to do so. And there's so many job opportunities out there. I wouldn't feel bad that these trained professionals are now free to stop working for the government, aka higher tax rates for us, and go work in the private industry and help small businesses.
I have a totally different intake on that because my sister's husband is a contractor and he's an engineer, and he works in Colorado. They work in Colorado. They just bought a house. She's a housewife. He made good money. He has now been without pay.
Second paycheck. He just hit his second paycheck.
And to you, it's just a second paycheck.
No, it's everything. To them, you're living paycheck to paycheck.
No, but to them, it's life or death. They've had now to rely on getting money from my parents, and my sister now is rationing out food so that they can feed their 4 children.
But that's what's happening when you are a federal employee. You know that this is going to be a possibility with every single continuing resolution your government is choosing to fund instead of making an actual budget. You know this is a federal employee. You may forget about it when you get comfortable in your job. But in the private industry, you think about all the people who lost their job. Nobody takes care of us. Nobody's going to give me back pay when I finally do get a job. So we all go through situations in life where we do have to struggle. But this is something you know going in. It's not that I don't feel bad for them and that I'm not heartless. I'm looking at it from a business perspective that there's a lot of fat that needs to be trimmed. There is. I mean, if we're functioning just fine. The government isn't shut down enough if we're passing all these bullshit laws.
I don't. Again, that my view is, I would.
You're stopping pay on the wrong people, Dana.
I did what?
They're stopping pay on the wrong people. President doesn't take a paycheck, but Pelosi does, and she's been sitting on a beach in Puerto Rico, and she was going to go away with all these members of her family on a tour of Afghanistan. She's never visited the troops before. But all of a sudden, during a government shutdown, she needs to go with 93 other people to go to Afghanistan and visit the troops. Are you kidding me?
I felt as though Nancy Pelosi would give Trump a run for his money, but make no mistake about it, I have no love in my heart for Pelosi like that. I think that I don't even know why Chuck is even in the damn picture.
I don't know. He's so useless. What are we doing?
Why does he even speak? I don't know. I'm so confused. But I think both Trump and Pelosi are being pig-headed, and it's more of not what's right for the people, but it's the egos. Who's going to bend first? That's where I have a problem.
I agree. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to win this staring contest because he's much more stubborn and ego-driven than her. And all he's been doing is showing that they don't want to negotiate at all. He's put out a cherry deal for them. Extending DACA for 3 years. Do you know his supporters are not okay with anything close to amnesty? He has given the Democrats everything that they claim to have wanted. The only thing is the funding for the wall is in there, and that's what they don't want, so they refuse to negotiate on anything else.
That's where I have a problem with both, again, Trump and Pelosi. I think that it is, again, the measure of the dicks, and, who's going to pull it out and who's going to last longer. To
this is where we are with negotiations because the parties won't come together and look at honest to God immigration reform under a bipartisan way. So now you're faced with a pissing contest where everybody wants to blame Trump and everybody wants to blame Pelosi or either or both. And they're ignoring that there's 535 members of Congress, 535 people who are as accountable, if not more, for not being willing to make a bipartisan agreement.
And they're getting paid.
And they're getting paid, but our most vulnerable government workers are not. I'm sorry, there's something very, very wrong with that.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. There's something drastically wrong with that. And as I'm reading while we're watching, because I always keep my news on, it's Nancy Pelosi denies Trump from this, and then Trump come. It's like, tit for tat. Enough.
And now she won't even let him give his State of the Union. I mean, this is stupid.
Enough. This is not. Trump does not represent what the norm is for our president. But Nancy is not. I don't know what the fuck she's I don't know what she's representing.
I don't know what she's doing at all. She's out of control.
I don't know what she's representing. But this right now, to me, you're hurting everyone. And we're getting nowhere fast. So
they're so silly too. If you open up the government, we'll talk about the immigration reform and funding the wall. No, they won't. No, they won't, because we had the same situation last year where Schumer shut down the government for the weekend and he caved before Monday happened, and it was over DACA. And then they're running around saying, well, President Trump ended DACA. He did not. When you make an executive order, it expires. He chose not to extend it, therefore ending DACA. Now he's offering to extend it for 3 years because he's a negotiator, and that's a bargaining chip. He wants to get what he wants, what he ran on, and that's the wall, and he's willing to negotiate with them. They're not. They're not willing to come to the table. So now it's a pissing contest between him and Pelosi, and it's getting stupid. We're on day 33 of a government partial shutdown of non-essential employees.
And we're not going to have any resolution. To me, it's just all dumb.
And meanwhile, New York is passing laws. Not good ones.
I don't know. And, I'm so, like, what's the girl's name? Cortez. I can't think of her full name. The new one that.
Stupid.
Oh, well, she was by Sandy in school.
You can't.
Ocasio-Cortez.
You can't come with these radical ideas.
No, she wants to tax you at 70%.
What? And it's like, people voted you in because they felt as though you would bring you're young, you're fresh, you're bringing ideas. You messing it up for anybody else coming behind.
And she wasn't an old white guy. She ran against an old white guy. So
she's crazy.
Yeah, she's insane. This is what you get when you play gender identity politics instead of voting for the person who's most qualified for the job.
I think we needed a shakeup. I do, and I was pleased with some of the things that took place. I'm not pleased with the outcome, though.
I love her. I love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's the best thing to happen to us ever, to expose the far left policies as they are and what they want. She's great.
She's crazy.
And the Democrats are scared of her. They hate her. I say, girl, go, girl, go.
Go and go. Keep opening up that mouth.
Go, girl.
Open up those eyes. Nice.
We're suffering from ringworm because there's not enough medical care in New York. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. I love that.
We're suffering from wingworm because it's not enough medical care. How about you take a chance and wash your kid when they come out from playing? Or how about you check your cleanliness in your home?
Keep your finger out of your butt.
How about that? That works. That works.
Wipe after you go potty.
It's like, come on. She's so far left that I won't even listen to her. I won't even consider, because to me, she's irrational. I'm sorry. I can't go from one extreme to the other. She
talks in such a word salad.
When I used to listen, I would just be like, what? Oh, she's crazy. She's crazy.
That's why I think she's perfect. We need that example out there for people to say, yeah, no, this is a little bit too radical for us.
That shit is way radical. Okay.
Very radical.
Way radical. Well, my daughter, who is probably the most liberal person I've ever met in my lifetime, raises an eyebrow at a person, that makes me investigate the person, because she thinks everything is great. She thinks that the world is kumbaya. You know what I mean? So when she looks at somebody like, what'd she just say? That makes me look at the person even harder. She's crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
I can't deal with her.
Well, I can't believe we did another hour.
Oh wow.
Oh my goodness. I'll keep this one on private until we discuss whether we want to put it up or not. I love when we do the spontaneous ones because we're basically oiled up and ready to go with the first hour. And then we start getting, and sometimes we click off and we have some of the best conversation. I'm like, I wish we would have recorded. That was better than the first show we did. So we'll put this one in the vault. Maybe we'll put it up as a special for people as a part 2. We'll decide within the next 24 hours.
Okay.
All right. But
good to me.
I'll put it up for us so we can review it and see if you like it, because we did curse a few times, but again, this one was off the cuff, and we are private citizens coming here with our opinionated show, and we are not sponsored by anybody, so it's not like Colgate is going to drop us.
But it was good. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was a good one. We covered so much ground.
Yeah.
All right, I love you guys. It's almost 10 o'clock.
All right, love you guys. I'm going to bed. We'll see you for your birthday, Miss Lisa, at 7.
Yes, we're going to the ZBA, everybody, and we hope everybody enjoyed part 2 of tonight's confidential Huntington View that hopefully you will get to see maybe one day. Good night.
Good night.